Hot or cold? The night or the day? I wonder which you'll pick. I'm sure you're wondering why you've been bombarded with questions like this. I'm just trying to determine whether you prefer the EverBright or the EverDawn. 2 dimensions added to Minecraft by the Blue Skies mod. Opposite in so many ways, but yet still so similar. In this 2-parter, we'll be heading to both dimensions, to explore what they have to offer and to take on the fearsome dungeons that loom over the landscape. First, we'll be heading to the EverBright dimension. There's no particular reason for this, and you're not required to do them in any particular order. Most of the important resources you'll need can be found in both dimensions. So if the Evernight dimension tickles your fancy, check out the next episode, either using the iCard on screen right now or by subscribing so you'll be notified when the next episode comes out. But for now, we'll be starting our journey towards the EverBright. Like every new world, I start by punching down a tree. A dark oak tree to be exact. It's not often that I spawn next to one of these. With some tools, I took the surface iron and the coal from the rocky shore. My favourite biome, even if it is the ugliest, it's just so helpful early game. The Blue Skies dimensions each have their own progression systems. Because of this, I'm not going to spend too long progressing in the overworld. We're just going to have a look around and get some basic materials. Further up the coast was a ruined nether portal with a flashy new sword I can kill salmon with. The big thing I want while in the overworld is a solid supply of food before I go dimension hopping, as this will make my life a lot easier. How will these be drowned in infested waters as I'm attacked by the whole family? Instead of dealing with that, I follow the river further inland. The true purpose of the search is to find the gatekeeper. As you can probably guess, the gatekeeper is the keeper of the gates between dimensions. They spawn all over the place in the overworld and are reasonably common. I found my first one while killing some cows. The gatekeeper is a villager, and like most villagers, if you talk to him, he'll trade with you. For 8 emeralds, he'll give you a zeal lighter, and this is the special item that allows you to light the portals, similar to the traditional flint and steel. If you instead give him a book, you'll get the blue journal, the quest book for this particular mod. I know some people don't like it when mods give you the book right off the bat, especially in larger mod packs, as they can become inventory clutter. So trading for it with the important villager for pretty cheap seems like a good compromise. If you leave the gatekeeper alone and head out for the shed, you can find one of 2 portal frames. The EverBright portal is made from turquoise stone bricks, while the EverDawn one is made from lunar stone blocks. Blue and black makes it nice and easy to tell which is which. It's a little covered up, but with some TLC you'll have a functional portal. I don't have any emeralds or the stuff I need to head to the EverBright, so I'll be skipping this one for now and continue my journey across the plains. On the coast I find a small, if not oddly generated village. I just need a farmer to trade some wheat with for the emeralds. Now, I don't know what came over me with it. I just moved on instinct and punched this poor man in the face while picking up the wheat I dropped. Ashamed of my actions, I fled by boat. I can make amends at the next village I find. And boy did I travel far and wide for this next village. Then I got some treasure along the way and found another 2 EverBright portals. I'm starting to get a little worried as we're now 3-0 on EverDawn portals. But it's alright for now, as after many miles I found 2 villages right next to each other. This one had a church, which will be helpful as we'll need a brewing. Since when were churches booby-trapped? Did they hear tales of adventurers and decided to take action to protect their ancient relics? I mean, it doesn't matter, because I have blocks. They'll have to upgrade to TNT next time if they want to stop me. Another gatekeeper's another EverBright portal, but using the book I stole from him, I can get myself the blue journal. If you click on it with it in your hands, you'll be added to your inventory. So you can access it at any time. Very nice and convenient. Especially for a mod where you may want to reference it while travelling without taking up an inventory spot. The book is split into 4 sections, all EverBright, EverDawn, and General. All lists all the entries, while EverBright and EverDawn lists useful information related to each of those dimensions. At the moment, it only has the portal info, but when we cross dimensions, more info will be unlocked. General has info that's relevant to both dimensions. The gatekeeper sure does keep his notes organised. I have mentioned before that I enjoy more diegetic mod guides, and this definitely ticks that box. I go to Minecraft and I'm mincing down some trees. Having some spare wood is always helpful. Once I got on board with that, it was time for another adventure. Got some gold in the Badlands, but the real treasure was the EverDawn portal. Finally. Was really starting to worry for a minute that I'd have to go much further for one. But now that I have pretty much everything I need, I can start prepping for my big move. The first of this was a backpack, then it was moving my stuff into one of the villagers' houses. I won't need half of this in the EverBright, so it can just stay here. I'm only taking the stuff that'll actually be useful, stuff like ores and plants can stay here. With this we can take our 8 emeralds to buy our zeal lighter from the gatekeeper. This can be made using materials found in the new dimensions, but only in those dimensions, so you're gonna have to buy your first one from the gatekeeper. Always a catch. The portal's lit like another portal and we can proceed into the great blue unknown. When we emerge on the other side, we're in an ocean! Out of everywhere! The middle of the ocean! Good thing I brought this bloody boat with me. I suppose the ocean isn't the worst place to wind up, as the Blue Skies dimension has a proper ocean biome filled with its own fish and plant life. The EverBright has 2 unique fish found alongside cotton and jellyfish. They can be cooked and eaten like normal. Fortunately, we're not too far away from the coast. Looking out over the coast is one of the mysterious blinding dungeons. This is where the first boss of the EverBright lives, so after avoiding the hostile whistle-shelled crabs, we can make our way off the beach. Just over the hill is the nature dungeon, home of the second boss we'll be fighting today. And yes, I am aware that it is massive. Like before, I'm travelling around looking for a village. But while doing so, I can really take in the beauty of the EverBright dimension. There are so many biomes that can be found here, ranging from forests to the vast plains that we find ourselves in now. Now that I've found a reasonable-sized cave, I can actually start progressing in this dimension. As you can see, overworld turtles work a hell of a lot worse in this dimension, my iron axe being practically useless. We have to use the wood here to make new sticks and tools, so we can mine the new stone and ores. In the cave, I was immediately greeted by some moonstone ore. This spawns in both dimensions and is the source of light. While torches do work here, you can't get more coal, but you can make moonstones out of the moonstone shards. These can be placed down to give off light or crafted into larger blocks. I think these are a fun alternative to torches, as they look pretty and can be used underwater and on all faces of a block. You can see my confusion at first on how I was meant to use this as a torch before I actually looked up the recipes. The other ore you'll find up near the surface of both worlds is pyrope. The tools mine quickly, but they have really bad durability. They are in between for stone and the next ore that is sort of an iron equivalent, so I suppose they're copper? But some armour is better than no armour with this rather bright red set. The EverBright has some massive cave systems all intertwined and go right down to the bottom of the world, which is Y0. The further down you go, the more of the next ore you'll find, which is a quite. It's found in its raw form, but we can smelt it to make tools and armour from it. Most of my caving involved finding as much of this stuff as I could alongside finding one of the dungeons that spawns down here. It looks next like one of the ones found in the overworld, with plenty of mushrooms and an enchanted bug. Sharpness one, so don't get too excited. There are also big stalagmites like in dripstone caves, and moonstone crystals are another pretty source of light. Once my inventory and backpack were full, I mined my way back up to the surface, although it's not like I had much space to begin with. Only a few moments back on the surface and I found a little village. It's not much useful here, but there are villagers which we can use to get some of the custom trades. I headed into the nearby forest to knock down some starlit trees, so I went to build my house out of the pretty teal-coloured wood. However, my deforestation was cut short by the snow. Now, the EverBright is eternally day, so hostile mobs still spawn regardless of the light level or time of day. When it starts snowing, the rate of mob spawn increases, while the fog limits your visibility, making it quite a dangerous time to be outside. I was hoping to have a house by the time it first happened, but clearly I spent more time in the cave than I realised. So while I huddle in this villager house, I'll introduce you to the hostile mobs of the EverBright. There are 7 in total that populate the dimension, but there are 3 you'll run into on the regular. The Armoured Frost Spirit, which is basically a zombie that takes more damage from pickaxes, while also sounding slightly horrific. If you kill one, the little spirit will be released and zip around dodging your strikes. Killing these will give you a soul fragment, but we'll get to them later on. The next creature is the Polargeist, a ghost bear that rises up and slams down on you, dealing a fair bit of damage. Not too tanky, just hit them while they're winding up their strikes. The last of the common enemies is the Styified Prowler, an evil puppy that will pounce on you. Use a shield or step out of the way of its strikes and you'll be good. These 3 make it sound like the EverBright is completely unlivable, but they don't spawn too frequently and you can usually just run past them as they lose interest quickly. But hey, would you look at that, the snow's cleared up now so I can go outside and show off my shiny new acquired armour. Very blue, wouldn't you agree? It's back to exploring as I'm looking for the frostbitten forest in order to find the frostbite trees. A lovely brown coloured tree which pairs well with the starlit wood. These trees are massive and take a minute to take down, but you do get a lot of wood from them. The nearby village was also as empty as the one I'm now living in. After waiting out another lot of the snow, I could finally start working on my house. I flattened out a nice area next to the village and got to work. I'm going very basic here, just a rectangle with added tower. I mostly just want to show off the nice blues found in the wood of this dimension. I actually colour picked screenshots of the EverBright dimension to get the colours I used on the skin. Now the house doesn't have windows right now, but it will do eventually. I'll show an updated look at the house later on with windows and foliage. Now that my nice new house is somewhat completed, I immediately left it to return to the mines. I'm looking for diopside, a radioactive green gem that is this world's equivalent to diamond. However, the blue skies is unique in the fact that it has not just 1, but 2 diamond equivalents. The other is charoite. While they're both the diamonds of this world, they do have some differences. According to our trusty gatekeeper, diopside is better for armor, while charoite is better for everything else. This is because diopside is very durable and provides more armor toughness. While even though the sword does more damage, it is slower. Charoite tools don't have these drawbacks, but the armor toughness and the weapon strength are the same as the diamond. We'll be using whichever one I get more of while mining. More of it spawns the deeper you go, but it's still not all that common. I was kinda starting to lose hope before I stumbled upon my first pieces. Kinda hard to miss, isn't it? Charoite is a little more subdued with its colour palette. While I was mining, I couldn't find any of the other ore called fallsite. Bit weird, it's meant to be pretty common. Turns out it only spawns in non-mountainous biomes, which the one I live in is counted as, despite it not actually being all that high up. So I headed back over to the coast I originally came from to do some mining there. Well, I certainly weren't lying because I found this stuff in spades. Here's a few different applications that will come up later on. I took this chance to mine some of the extra minerals. Before I got bored, I got 14 diopside. I'm going to use this for a chest plate and boots along with a sword. And boy is it bright, especially when combined with acquired armor. We are never getting lost again. I made a sword using the starlit stick. Why do I mention the type of stick? Well, using the stick made of blue skies wood, you can grant your tools and weapons better abilities. Blue bright and lunar are just regular sticks. Frostbright and maple make tools more durable but slower. Starlit and dusk make tools less durable but quicker. The last type can only be found on the roof of nature dungeons, and is essentially a better frostbright, making tools even more durable. The diopside sword is on the slower end, so hopefully this will be able to balance it out a bit. The couple pieces of chariot I got were smelted and used in place of diamonds in an enchanting table. This will be my next step towards fighting the summoner. Once I have some books. Yeah, I kinda forgot about sugarcane in my preparations. So we headed back to the overworld a little sooner than expected to get some sugarcane and extra leather. Of course, when I came back it's snowing. Really quite my luck. I know I usually play on a very low render distance, but even I'm wigged out a little bit by standing in the middle of a foggy ocean. I guess it's a good thing there aren't any ocean bosses. Back home and relatively safe, I set up a temporary enchantment station. I'll make it look cute later. Since we're here in one of the blue skies dimensions, we're not going to be using lapis for enchanting. Instead, we'll be using falsite nuggets. Some basic brought on my armor and sharpness on my sword brings it from a 9 to a 10.5 attack damage. Enchants aren't saving our looks here. After gathering the last of my materials, we can begin our ascent through the blinding dungeon, home of the summoner. We go up the spiral staircase to the various offshoots. I'm being very cautious in this footage as there's meant to be a witch and some vindicators guarding this place, but they don't seem to be home right now. I think they may have despawned. The loot in this tower is a bit meh. The real treasure is what you get from the boss. But I did manage to get 3 of the same music disc. I'll say the real treasure is the books I took afterwards, as you can't break or place blocks until the boss is dead. Throughout the chests of this tower are the blinding keys. We'll need these to unlock the boss. Check every nook and cranny for them, as some are quite well hidden. There are 4 in each tower, which works out quite well as we'll need 4 to use the keystone at the top. Using it will teleport you to the top of the tower where the summoner awaits. As his name suggests, he'll summon golems to attack you. The blue ones do melee damage while the green ones will shoot you. Try and keep on top of the number of golems so you aren't overwhelmed while attacking the summoner while he's casting. Every now and again he'll hit you with his magic attack, but honestly it didn't do that much damage. Once he hits half health, he'll start summoning lightning that causes all these strange fires. They'll give you the floating effect. He also now spawns red golems that hit for more damage while also giving himself regeneration. I'll also just keep doing the same thing until he dies. When slain, you'll get the Summoner's Trophy and loot bag. Now this mod does something different. You can refight the same boss but at a higher difficulty. If you summon them in using this thing called an arc that can be pulled from the loot bags. So that's what I did. I went ahead and beat up the one by the ocean I first saw. From the loot bag you can get some basic materials like emeralds and aquite, along with more cosmetic items like a music disc and armor trims. As for the weapons, this mod adds in spears as a throwable weapon similar to a trident. The soulbound spear that you can get here has built-in loyalty, making it a nice hunting weapon. If you steal the Summoner's Book, you can use it to shoot magic beams he fires at you during the fight. If you use the Summoner's Table, another drop from the loot bag, then you can change the book to summon golems instead that will fight for you. It's not the strongest weapon, but it's a pretty cool collectible. The Ethereal Arc will grant you a 10% movement speed buff when placed in your Arc slot, which is the second tab added in by the mod to your inventory. Place it in here and run slightly faster. There are 4 slots for the 4 arcs you can tame from the 4 bosses. From the 2 summoners I fought, I got 2 spears, 2 arcs, 2 summoners tables, and an armor trim. I think fighting the boss at higher difficulties gives you better loot bags that will make collecting everything easier. So if you want the full set, I hope you're ready to fight for it. In the meantime, I decorated my house and got my library looking appropriately cool. Downstairs in my kitchen, I placed a snowcap oven I stole off a villager. This lets you use snow-capped mushrooms as a fuel source to smelt things here in the EverBright. However, if you're boring like me, regular furnaces work all the same. I also added a warding pearl to my house. You can find these in villages as they stop hostile mobs from spawning for quite a large radius. You can make them using a pearl from a sea clam, found at the bottom of the ocean and a pain to fight as they close up if you get too close. Luckily I found mine while on the surface while sailing. No idea what happened down there, but hey, who am I to complain? Mixed with Falsight and the Soul of a Frost Spirit, you get the Warding Pearl lamp that makes for a rather cute addition to my home. Really completing the look, so I can once again immediately abandon it to go fight a dungeon. This time we'll be heading to the Nature Dungeon, that large mega structure we saw off in the distance on our first day. If I had decided to go here without fighting the Blinding Dungeon first, I'd get poison and blindness along with a message telling me that I can't go there yet. So this mod does force you to do the dungeons in a particular order. This dungeon is a maze of rooms spread across 3 floors. Our goal is to make it to the greenhouse on the roof in one piece. Not easy given the fact that the halls are guarded by stonelets. Green beings with a striking resemblance to the golems we fought earlier. Once again, we're on the lookout for 4 keys this time, called the nature keys. And my god do I hate mazes! Calling myself directionally challenged would be a polite way of putting it, as I lose my mind in these putrid green twisting corridors laughed at by these stupid golems. Hey, I found the greenhouse! Once you're at the top, you get a moment of respite as you walk down the corridor to the boss's lair. Inside is the Starlit Crusher, a very strange looking tree. Now this guy is a pain in the butt to fight. He puts up these wooden walls preventing you from attacking him, before letting off a thorny spike attack across the floor that deals quite a bit of damage. You use to break the wall so that you can get to the Starlit Crusher and attack them, assuming they don't let off their second spike attack in the process. When it's finished, it goes down for a few moments so you can get some hits in. Make sure you bring a good axe, something I did not know in advance, making this fight a lot longer. Look, in my defense, last time I fought this guy, he spawned in as an apotheosis boss with over 1,000 health and was invisible. It was more painful than informative. Alongside the spikes, he had the ground hitting attack that will knock you back, and a little spin later on, hopefully to him being stunned at the end. He also has friends, summoning sputers that throw things at you, and a corrupted form of the snowy owl that will attack you. If you can overcome all this and finally defeat the Starlit Crusher, which I somehow managed to, then you'll be granted the trophy in the loot bag, along with access onto the roof. From the Starlit Crusher's loot bag you can get a music disc, armor trim, and some basic materials just like the summoner. But this time you can get the Nature's Arc that provides 1 extra heart. However, you can't stack arcs, you can only use 1, so even if you did get multiple, you can only get 1 heart. For the weapon you get the Starlit Crusher, the big hammer the tree was wielding. When used, you'll slam into the ground, damaging everything around you. For my bag, I got the arc, the disc, and a trim. I'm not going to be doing this again for another chance. My hatred of mazes outweighs my love of gambling. If you remember earlier, I mentioned that the comet sticks could be found on the roof of the nature dungeon. Well, this is it, these pink trees found up here on the roof and throughout the dungeon. The pink comet grass is also a useful material, if only we had Silk Touch to take some home with us. There is a little bit of it in the Summoner's Tower on the floor in the brewing room, so just some interesting connections between the two structures. The main benefit of this grass, outside of being cute, is that if you want to grow brewberries, the sweet berry equivalent of this world on it, you have a chance to get pink berries that give you a little bit of regeneration. Since we're heading somewhere called the Poison Dungeon next episode, I think we'll need all the regen we can get our hands on. What would be helpful is the black berries grown using mycelium. While I don't have any of that, I do get some from the dungeon chests. This berry can cure poison. Essentially, we can stack milk, which if you do a lot of fighting in Minecraft, you'll know is very helpful. With my loot in tow, I can head home and put my trophy up on display. While I got to see most of what the EverBright has to offer, I did miss out on the Crynosaurus. Crynosaurus? Try saying that quickly. An icy rhino that only spawns in the coldest of biomes. And the Shrumpty, an ugly little mushroom guy that spawns in the mushroom biome. So honestly, maybe we didn't miss out much. But with all the bosses vanquished and my home renovation projects done, our time here in the EverBright has come to an end. But Jay, what about the villagers and the food? Don't worry, I'll be covering those in the next episode when we have all of our ingredients. Along with of course all the Everdawn content and my final thoughts on the mod. But now I hope you've enjoyed our little adventure into the EverBright dimension. Let me know down below what your favourite part of the mod is, and if you haven't already, subscribe while you're at it. Now how do I word my outro when there's no night here? I guess all I can do is bid you a good day.